Hi, wonderful people. I wanted to jump on and just share a little bit about what's been happening in the Soma Therapy Collective, which used to be bryonymontgomery.com, and the direction that I'm taking this work. For a very long time, if you've been traveling with me, back since some of you since 2007, 2009, when I began working with women's feminine embodiment and women's circles, and working with the body and intuition, and strengthening that, and doing a lot of work around trauma healing and mother wound work. That you've known that a lot of my work has centralized primarily with dismantling patriarchy. For me, it was quite revolutionary when I came to, understanding what patriarchy is and how it negatively impacts women as well as men, as well as the culture, as well as community. So for so long, my work has centrally and primarily looked at patriarchy as something that needs to be dismantled. But for many, many years, there has been another piece to that puzzle that I couldn't quite name or couldn't quite identify. And I spent a lot of time in reflection, a lot of time studying, a lot of time talking with colleagues and other spiritual leaders in the space that that I've known for a long time, and that I've worked with, good friends. As well as my own personal story in and around with working with patriarchy, and what I felt was there was a missing piece, and the deeper that I moved into trying to locate that, I came to the decolonization space. I came to doing the work of being actively anti-racist, and that really led me into what I understand as the final piece, which has been colonialism, settler colonialism. And so what I see with where my work is moving towards is now not so much centralizing, dismantling patriarchy, but it is actually centralizing, dismantling settler colonialism with patriarchy. If you see colonialism as an umbrella, patriarchy is a tendril of settler colonialism. It is part of settler colonialism. There's capitalism that's part of that. There's there's oppression and violence. There's a lot of other materialism. There's a lot of other different things that feed into the machine of settler colonialism. And at its heart, at the heart, and is this wounding, is this deep wounding. Let me backtrack just for an extra step. That patriarchy in itself is not gendered. So all the work that I did with dismantling patriarchy, and particularly around the toxic masculine, I was looking at men. And I don't see that men are not part of the issue. I see men as predominantly part of the issue of settler colonialism and toxic masculinity. But I also know patriarchy now, and masculinity, toxic masculinity, does not have a gender. You can have patriarchal women as well as patriarchal men. And this feeds into this ideology, this project of settler colonialism, which at its heart is also not gendered. It's both propped up and instigated and encouraged by both men and women. And when I talk about colonialist woman, she is a patriarchal woman. I've just stepped sideways. I've just got a broader context now. And even there was a time that I believed that the world would be saved by women. But that is also a flaw, because a patriarchal or colonialist woman is still propping up the toxicity and decentering life and decentering humanity and centering capitalism and centering colonialism and centering oppression, violence, and power, and stripping the resources from the Great Mother. And a great way of identifying, and that's another side piece, a great way of identifying a colonialist woman is she's hollowed out. She presents as a woman, but she's actually on the inside, she's hardened. She has washed herself and her softness and her essence of her femininity away by this settler colonialist way, this kind of way of constantly propping up that false and toxic and abusive and oppressive ideology that settler colonialism is. So my work is not moved from the crux of the heart of it is that settler colonialism is the toxin, is a toxic way of living on the earth. It's destroying the earth. And how we meet that is we identify the wounding of the mother. We identify and see that in the culture ancestrally, and in our communities, we have decentered the mother. We have decentered life. We place what we look like, the scale of our houses, whether we have the newest car, newest technology, whether or not we're going on the best, most amazing holidays. We have replaced what our humanness needs, with connection and community and love and softness and rest, with this constant striving for more, better, more successful, better than the next person, like this constant, consumer, kind of rapid rate that we're, absorbing these kind of ideologies to somehow get better, get faster, get more. And we have in that decentered the mother, decentered humanity, decentered life. And so when we work with the mother wound, so the work that I do is still the same. When we work with the mother wound, when we tend to the mother wound, we move closer to our humanity. We move closer in recolaboration and response to life and to the mother, to the internal mother within. We recenter mother. We recenter life. We actually recenter community and collaboration. We recenter Indigenous practices, not just our own Indigenous practices, but the practices of others. We learn that liberation cannot come at the cost of persecution and genocide and ecocide. That true liberation is liberation for all. And that means, as a white heterosexual woman, that means that I am not the center. This means that I am part of a much larger, much bigger context that needs my offerings, that needs my privilege, that needs me to sit, witness, listen, and tend to the wounding of my own culture, my own lineage, and recenter the earth, recenter life, and recenter humanity. So my work remains the same. And the way that we can show up in these times right now is that we can move closer to the stickiness, to the mess, to the humanness, to the wounding of our ancestors, of our cultures, of the land, of all sentient beings, even our ancestors, that we can move closer by tending to the things that settler colonialism tells us not to. Anger, grief, loss, joy, rest. All the things that settler colonialism tries to drive us and isolate us and segregate us from are the very things that we need to turn, face, and be with. That also includes meeting the times of genocide and ecocide and the polycrisis that's happening right now. That is also turning and facing who we are, claiming our ancestral lineage and moving closer into what that lineage is and reclaiming the wisdom from our own ancestors who also suffered genocide. If you're not living on the lands of your ancestors, you have also suffered under settler colonialism, and your family, your blood and your kin have also been driven out and driven away from ancestral practices and your homeland. So I'm still doing the same work. It's just framed in a different way, in a broader way, and it's the missing piece. I would really love for you to continue on with me through this journey as it deepens, as it expands, as I come out of a personal crisis space and able to offer more of this work to you in a very direct and collaborative way. If you don't feel this is the work for you anymore, then I wish you well on the next steps in your journey. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening.